Hey, what's up? It's Mr. Bill, and today I want to do a tutorial where I introduce you to the concept of layering. And the reason I want to do this is because a lot of the tunes that people send me, when they say, "Hey man, I've watched all your tutorials and I really want to show you what I've done," they often sound like very unlayered and very one-dimensional. They don't have like that whole sort of depth that I feel like a tune should have. So and I think a lot of it comes down to their layering. So I've just got this little loop. It's just a 4-bar loop, and it sounds like shit at the moment, but that's why I'm using it, because it sounds one-dimensional. It just sounds like this. So that's it. It's like super simple, very boring. It doesn't go anywhere. So let's start with the drums. The drums sound like this. So they don't have any layering at the moment. It's literally just like one kick, one snare, and one like go snare. And it's just like, it's all in the center. It's not interesting at all. So what I want to introduce you to is the concept of layering things over the top of this. And it's something you have to be careful with, actually, because if you do it the wrong way, or if you do it too much, shit can just become muddy, and you don't want that. So instead, I'll show you how I do it. So let's say for the claps, for instance, or the snares rather, if we go into, like, say I've got this folder called WA claps and stacks, so it's like Waves Alchemy claps and stacks. And if you listen to, like, say some of these layered claps, they sound really like awesome and wide and lots of stuff going on in them. Like, so let's say we layer this one over the top. We just put it straight there like that, and then listen to that. So that'll sound like this. So already the snare sounds like it has much more like volume to it. But the thing is like, I don't think that's really like a good way to do it. Like, you shouldn't just layer things on top of other things, because eventually it's just going to get dirty. So what you want to do here is you want to treat one of these as the transient, and then the rest of them as the tone. So let's say, honestly, that doesn't really have that good of a transient to it. So let's just like fade this out. So we're just going to use this as like the body of the actual drum, and then we're going to EQ the low end out of it or something like that. So this way the transient or the low end isn't going to interfere with anything, which is good. And then we'll use this as the transient now, because that has a really nice transient. So now we have a snare that sounds like this, as opposed to this. Maybe we could turn this one down a bit. And then we could even pitch this. And then maybe turn this down a bit. So that's literally just like a pitch layer now. Like, it's just being pitch, and that's it. So that sounds like that. We can go further with this. So let's say, I'll just go into samples, and then I'll go to sound design. I'm just going to pick something random like that. That sounds pretty cool, like bullet glass impact. So let's layer this over the top now. So this is a short sound, and it's got a lot of low end in it, so we'll cut the low end out. Something like this. And because it's short, I might want to pitch it down to make it longer, so you get a little bit more like tail on it. And now we're not going to use this one as a transient either. We're still going to use the top one as a transient, because I prefer the transient of that one. And I'm just going to fade this front of it in, so it's like, and turn it down. So now we've got this. And we can probably be more careful with it. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm just going to keep adding layers until it sounds like a really nice, crazy full snare. Could add maybe a little bit more glass to it. Maybe we could even replace that first glass hit with this one. That could sound better. So let's say we have this here. We can't have two transients, because interact with each other and sound like weird. Actually, you know what? We could use this as a transient. I always usually have my transient one up, like whichever one I'm using as the transient up the top, and then I kind of have the rest underneath them. And I usually color code them all the same as well, so you can just tell in the tune, like when you zoom out, that that's all snare related stuff. So let's see how that sounds if we use that as the transient. It sounds a little bit weak, actually. Yeah, so we're not going to do that. We're going to use this as the transient still. And we'll use this maybe pitch down. And we can pitch it as well, so it has like some sort of relation to the key of the tune. So now we've got something like this. Let's turn this up and this one down. So you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about here. Hopefully you get the idea anyway. So like obviously snares are like a really good thing to do this with, because I don't know, I enjoy doing it with snares just because they have a lot of depth in them and stuff like that anyway. Also you can pan some of these layers left and right. So let's say we take this layer, pan that a bit left, pan that a bit right, pan that a bit, maybe a bit to the right as well, to the left as well. So now we have this. So that's much more interesting than, say, this snare that we had just before, which sounds like this. Actually, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like this. So we went from a snare like that, and just by layering other snares and stuff, have something more like that. So it's like it's got more depth, and now if we listen to this in the context of the tune, it sounds like this. Let's just turn everything back on again. Maybe the glass is too long. Yeah, I think maybe we need to cut those back. So you kind of need to be careful with like the tails of everything and stuff like that. Alright, so now we have this. Alright, so we've got clap, glass 1, tonal snare, and glass 2. Sweet, so that is our clap now, and then usually what I do, well, I mean, maybe we'll add more to it, but usually what I do after I build a bunch of stuff in a clap is I render it all down into one through resampling, like that. And then I just simply delete all these channels, and that way I don't have to worry about having tons and tons of channels in my session, because it builds up really fast. So, and usually I'll probably work on it a little bit longer than that as well, just to make sure I'm happy with it. So these are just random subsamples. So here, again, all of this stuff here. Let's render all this down into one channel, and the reason I'm going to do that is usually I do it because it's simple to see stuff that I want to layer. So alright, so we're just going to concentrate now on layering the guitars. So everything we like, generally everything I like to layer at least a little bit, you know, so I can kind of just give everything a little bit more depth. So let's try and layer. We could probably put this layer on top of here. Let's see how that sounds. No, it sounds shitty. Well, actually, maybe the bass is something that would be better to layer. So let's listen to this. So actually, there's a free sample pack that you can get from my website. It's called like Neuro Basses or something like that. It's on MrBillsTunes.com, and it's free. And where are they? Basses. Here we go. Neuro Basses 1, no, 2, 3. No. I don't know, they're somewhere around here. Well, I can just use these ones anyway, this is fine. Oh wait, near. That's fine. I'll just use these ones. So let's say that's just a sound that I made one day, or this. They're just all random sounds that I made. So let's say that I want to layer this with a sub now, or rather, yeah, layer it with the sub. So that's like, I'll get the tone of it. So it's dun, dun, dun. But this doesn't really have a pitch or anything, so you kind of have to just like roll with the punches with it and see if you can just fit it in. You can do something like that. We probably want to cut the lows out of this a little bit just because we are layering it with a sub already, so and we could even like have sections of this in the middle to kind of tie the bases together. Let's say, go back to the samples, or rather my toolbox. That's kind of cool in there. We could like take that and pitch that down or something. So just layering that over the top, for instance, it gives it like a lot more dimension, you know what I mean? Like a lot more depth. Anyway, I think you get the idea. So basically, like I just take a lot of the sounds in my tunes and I layer them a lot with other things. Like I don't just settle for like a bass coming out of a synth, or I don't just settle for a snare that came out of a pack, or I don't just settle for like, you know, something like that. You get the idea. So basically, I think the thing I'm trying to get across is just layering. Like you should, if you want to give your tunes a lot of depth, you should concentrate on the layering, and you should also be really careful of like transients though as well. So for instance, every time these kicks hit, I basically want everything to be faded in. So I would even take these guitars here and just like manually fade them in. I mean, you could use a sidechain if you want, but I'd suggest if you do use a sidechain, that you should use a separate channel, and the channel should be like the key input rather should be really short, like this, for instance, like a click, and it should be really loud too, like that. And then what you need to do is on the chain channel, you need to drop it on every single kick, but you also need to drop it on every single snare as well. So where are they? Yeah, you need to put one like here, 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 and here. And then I could use a compressor and use it with that chain. So maybe let's just call this chain. Turn this off. Chain. Audio effect track. Old compressor. So I use the old compressor from Live 8 rather than the one from Live 9. Just because it clicks less and I just like the sound of it more. You can hear how much more responsive the compressor is when I use like tiny little clicks like that rather than when I use like a proper like kick and snare. And this kick obviously needs to be replaced. It sounds terrible. It's just some weird kick I found in a pack, or I could just process it, I guess. Maybe something like that. Maybe put like a isotope 2 on it or something and transient shape it a little bit. Oh, alloy 2, sorry, not isotope 2. Do a bit of transient shaping. Sounds alright. Let's see the before and after of my amazing 2 seconds of processing. A bit tougher. anyway, you get the idea. So like basically, yeah, it just has much more depth now than it did before. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. Or if there's a tutorial that you want to see me do, because I mean lately I just really haven't had any ideas for them. So if there's anything that you want to see me do, just again leave a comment. Yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you later.